Are you looking at relocating to the Twin Cities and don't know where to start with your home search? I'm going to walk through in this video the 7-county metro area and help you understand the different parts of the Twin Cities and what is, the pros and the cons of living in each area, and a lot more. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Matt Adelman with Matthew Adelman Realty. If you're new to this channel, welcome. This channel is all about real estate, food, things to do, your local guide to living in the Twin Cities or moving to the Twin Cities in this case. We publish new content all the time, and if you want to stay up to date on what we're doing, hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell so you're notified when we drop new videos, and please comment, text me, give me a call, interact with us. If you've got questions on things, don't be a silent participant. Let's interact and help you figure out where to go and what you're looking for. So who am I? Matt Adelman with Matt Adelman Realty. I am born and raised in the Twin Cities. I've been here nearly my entire life outside of 4 years of college living in northern Minnesota. But otherwise, I'm a local Minnesotan, and this is what I do. So I'm going to give you my perspective of the Twin Cities, what I like about the different counties, things to think about. And obviously within each county is a bunch of other decisions and factors you need to think about when it comes to actual cities and schools and the ultimate place that you end up deciding to look at and call home. But this will be a high-level overview. I'm going to pull up a map, walk you through the different counties, the different areas. We'll throw some video in there as well of some of the video tours that we've done. And if any of the areas really speak to you as we're talking, check out some of the other videos that dive deeper into those specific cities or parts of the county. Without further ado, I am going to pull up the map here and just give you guys an overview of the Twin Cities in general. So here's Minnesota. Minnesota's a gigantic state in terms of land mass. However, population is about 6 million-ish people. Almost 60% of the population lives in the 7-county Twin City metro area. So if you're relocating here and you're moving to Duluth or Rochester, St. Cloud, Mankato, those are some of the other major metropolitan areas. That's awesome. We certainly can help you too with those areas, but today's video is really going to focus on the Twin Cities. So here we go. Let's jump in, and like I said, I'll just take you through the different counties, what I think they offer, what they don't offer, what the houses are like, what the activities are like, what the schools are like, and just get you a better feel for how things work here. So Hennepin County. Hennepin County is this section in gold. Hennepin County is the largest county in the state. About 1.2 million-ish people live in Hennepin County. Minneapolis is the most populated city in the state. Chances are, if you're relocating here for work, you're probably moving to Minneapolis. Between Minneapolis and St. Paul, it is, in the top 3, I believe, of all city metros in the entire country for Fortune 500 companies. We have a lot of headquartered companies that have offices or headquartered offices in Minneapolis and St. Paul, as well as the surrounding suburbs. So it's a really great corporate work environment, which obviously comes with a lot of amenities and a lot of things that really cater to those industries. We're really big in retail. With Target's headquartered here. We're really big in healthcare. Medtronic, Boston Scientific, Abbott Laboratories has an office here. We're really big in food. General Mills is here. Land O'Lakes is here. Jennie-O Turkey, Conagra Foods has a big office here. And those are some of the major industries that are here in the Twin Cities. We have a lot of banking, a lot of finance, and other areas like that as well. But you're going to primarily see a lot of major corporations that are going to be in this downtown area. The downtown area of Minneapolis, the downtown area of Hennepin County doesn't have a whole ton of living. So if you're moving here, oftentimes people are going to be looking at what we call the first ring suburbs. So it's a little hard to see in this yellow, but 494, where if we just kind of trace an outline of it here, up to 94 and 694, you can see it forms kind of a circle around the Twin Cities. We call that the inner loop. So a lot of people, when they relocate here, they're going to move into the inner loop cities. If you want to find a house that has a little older charm, a more established neighborhood, all of these cities, Richfield, Edina, Bloomington, Eden Prairie, Hopkins, St. Louis Park, Golden Valley, they're all going to be your World War II era neighborhoods. They're all built up in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. They're going to have giant mature trees. They're going to have lots of really standard city blocks. If I zoom in, Ridgefield, for example, you could see the city is just a big grid, right? There's nothing fancy about how the lots are laid out. There's not a ton of uniqueness in the houses themselves, which is totally fine. It's just something to know, based on what you're looking for and the type of neighborhood that you want. In this inner circle, you're not going to find it as much. When you get into Edina, Eden Prairie, Minnetonka, you're going to see, if I zoom in on Edina, for example, it starts to change, and you get a lot more variation in the lots. You get a lot more variation in the housing. And then when you get further out past this 494 inner ring, when you get into kind of the second ring, it doesn't mean second tier, it just means a little further out from downtown. This is where a lot of the new development's happening. You've got Medina, Corcoran, Maple Grove, Plymouth, parts of Wayzata, kind of out to Orono. So if you see where my cursor is, this is about the limit up into Rogers a little bit of where all the new development's happening. So these are brand new builds starting somewhere in the 4 to 500s up to 2 million-ish. When you get further out past Medina, so Maple Plain, Loretto, Greenfield, when you get past Rogers into Otsego, Albertville, St. Michael, those are really great up-and-coming areas, but they're going to be a little further out from the cities, and just a slightly different lifestyle out that way versus if you're in Hennepin County itself. From a price point standpoint, the way it kind of works, Minneapolis itself, if you're around the lakes area, so you've got, they renamed this lake a couple years ago, Bidimaka Ska. It used to be called Lake Calhoun. That's what it was when I grew up. That's why you see Calhoun Isles. You'll see a ton of buildings in areas that have the name Calhoun on it, but it got changed. It's now Bidimaka Ska, Lake Harriet, Lake of the Isles, Cedar Lake. These are really popular places that people love to live, especially if, when I was in my 20s, I lived in the Uptown area. There's a lot of young professionals that live here. As you get into Lebanon Hills, 50th in France, and South Minneapolis, especially around the lakes, this is where you get into like really fancy houses, established neighborhoods, higher price points. When you cross 35W and you get to the other lake area of Minneapolis, you've got Lake Nokomis and Hiawatha. It's a little different vibe than over on the Lebanon Hills area, but you're still going to have some really great houses on the lake, lots of trails and paths. Hiawatha has a little golf course over here. As you move closer to downtown and northern North Minneapolis, or Como, Northeast Park, Northeast Minneapolis itself, you're going to get a very different vibe. This is going to be very standard 40s, 50s, 60s houses. You've got a lot of restaurants and amenities. You've got a lot of industrial and that sort of stuff over in these parts of Minneapolis. And then when you get into North Minneapolis, Robbinsdale, New Hope, Brooklyn Center, this is a really different vibe than the southern portion of the suburbs. You're going to have standard older houses, not a ton of things to do, not a ton of amenities. Like, this is just kind of inner ring suburban. Price points are going to be a lot lower. There's a little more crime and a little less to do in this portion of Hennepin County. But then when you get further north past Brooklyn Park into Osseo again, and further north, it gets back into just, I call it just suburban living. Hennepin County, I mentioned the lakes in Minneapolis. Those are super popular. Medicine Lake is a very popular lake in the Twin Cities, but the most popular and the most expensive lake is going to be Lake Minnetonka. Lake Minnetonka is this giant blob here. I mean, there's $15 million houses on Lake Minnetonka. The cheapest is, if you're lucky, you can find a one-bedroom cabin for $500,000 or $600,000. Chances are it'll get torn down and built into a gigantic mansion instead. But Lake Minnetonka is incredibly popular. There are a lot of little towns interspersed around here. Generally, when people think Minnetonka, the city, they confuse that with Lake Minnetonka, which is a ton of cities. They're pretty different. Minnetonka is a wonderful suburb on its own. Talk about incredible housing options there, great schools, great programs, lots of things to do. But Lake Minnetonka is in its own world. So if that's your vibe and you've got the budget for it and you really want lake living and you really want to be in Hennepin County, Lake Minnetonka is the place. And it gets so nuanced here. I mean, it'll be 5 different videos just to explain what city's what and what all the different bays and the different parts of the lake are. So we'll leave it at that. As you go further north and northwest again into Hennepin County, you've got a few other lakes, a lot of park preserves, a lot of golf courses, a lot of fields. There's a lot of farming up here, cornfields and that sort of stuff. So it gets really different as you move west and northwest from Minneapolis into this portion of Hennepin County. So at the end of the day, Hennepin County itself, I mean, this is the county I've born and raised in, I live in now. You can find townhouses and apartments and condos that are, you know, the low 200s all the way up to whatever dream house you could ever imagine. And, you know, the sky's the limit when you get into that space. So that's Hennepin County in a nutshell. If we talk about the next largest county, it's Ramsey County. That's going to be the St. Paul portion of the Twin Cities. So Ramsey County, primarily St. Paul. You've got Arden Hills and Shoreview, North Oaks, Little Canada, White Bear Lake. These are all really, really popular cities in Ramsey County. When you look at St. Paul itself, here's the downtown area. So this is where the Excel Center is, where the Minnesota Wild play hockey. This is where most of the headquarters are going to be. Regents Hospital, the state capital. So St. Paul is the capital, not Minneapolis. Most people confuse that. But the state capital is here. You've got the Minnesota United. Our soccer team has their stadium over here. And St. Paul it's really different than Minneapolis. There is some lake living. There's some river living. There's some golf course living and that sort of stuff. But when you look at St. Paul, probably the biggest difference is you have old houses in Minneapolis, obviously, but St. Paul, you've really got the old 1920s, 1900s, well-maintained, super cool antique type houses in this Mac Groveland or McAllister Groveland area, Summit Hill, Highland Park. So if you're looking, you know, we've got a bunch of clients that have been looking for that 1920s feel with the old, authentic, classic woodwork and the stained glass windows and that vibe. You're going to get that way more in St. Paul than you will in Minneapolis. St. Paul is also a little different in that you're going to see a lot more neighborhood restaurants and a lot more coffee shops and that sort of stuff pop up in St. Paul in random neighborhoods, which is kind of cool because you could be looking. It makes the search a lot more exciting on the St. Paul side, depending on the amenities and the types of things that you want to go with it. I didn't mention Hennepin County, but this is where University of Minnesota is. So this is the major college portion of Minneapolis, of Hennepin County. University of Minnesota does feed into St. Paul as well. But St. Paul has a ton of the higher end private colleges in the Twin Cities. So you've got Hamlin is over here. You've got St. Thomas is over here, McAllister, St. Catherine. There's a lot of private colleges that are in the St. Paul area, which means there's a lot of college kids in a lot of these areas, which means there's a lot of cool, fun places. So Summit Avenue, Grand Avenue, these are really popular streets that have tons of restaurants and bars and shops and that sort of stuff. As you move north of this McAllister Groveland or Mac Groveland Summit Hill area into Como Park, St. Anthony Park, the North End, this is where it gets more block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood in terms of what you can expect here. As you move into the Payne Fallon area, Dayton's Bluff, the Greater East Side, this is really, really block to block. Like, you want to make sure you're looking, depending on what you're looking for, you need to be very aware of what you're buying and where, because a lot of people will look at price points. It's going to be lower price points in these areas, and they'll get, you know, in love with it and want to look at it and get to the neighborhood and go, I don't feel all that safe here in this particular portion of it. Well, yeah, we want to make sure that we talk about that and understand. There are some really great areas, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have friends in Dayton's Bluff. I have friends in the North End. Like, there's some really awesome, wonderful houses and things to do, too. Eyes wide open, make sure you know what you're getting into. As you move north from St. Paul itself into the rest of Ramsey County, Roseville is a really great established city. You've got one of the bigger malls in the Twin Cities in Roseville Mall. A lot of restaurants, on this stretch of, I believe this is Snelling, Highway 51. So, you know, Roseville, you're going to be, there's a really great lake here. A lot of people love to live on Lake Johanna, Lake Owasso. I'm trying to remember what, there was one other lake that's really popular here. And of course it's not showing up when I zoom in. But so, you know, Roseville does have a few options like that, which are super cool. New Brighton, Shoreview, Mounds View, these are really wonderful cities. You're going to see like Mounds View, New Brighton, they do have some new construction options as well. So some of the national builders have new construction up here, but you're going to see just older, again, 1940s, 1950 houses. Shoreview and Arden Hills have Bethel University. There's some really large corporations that have headquarters up here. Land O'Lakes is headquartered up there. North Oaks has a really great golf course. It's a private course, but again, lake living, super, super high-end houses over in this portion. And then White Bear Lake is a really, really popular part of Ramsey County, and then feeding into a couple other counties as well. But White Bear Lake, the city itself, and then White Bear Lake, the lake, are super popular spots. Delwood Country Club's a great golf course, again, private course. So depending on what you're looking for, if you want city living, the St. Paul side is, you know, really known for more of the older 1920s, 1930s style houses. As you move north, you get into, you know, what I call just the traditional World War II era, all the way up to brand new builds. So Ramsey, Hennepin, those are the two most popular counties. As you move north into Anoka County, so Anoka, the city, is also in Anoka, the county. You've got, this is going to be a really different vibe in general than in Hennepin or Ramsey County. The further north, once you get to about kind of this Ham Lake area, certainly up to where 47 is, it gets pretty rural up here. So it's not like if you're looking for acreage and you want to buy a house and have, you know, 4, 5, 6 acres to go with it, you can definitely find that at St. Francis and Bethel. There are lakes up here as well. I mean, it's Minnesota. There's lakes everywhere, but if that's what you're looking for and you want acreage and you want land and you want to be spread out and not have a ton of neighbors, this is a great area to look. Andover, Coon Rapids, Blaine, Fridley, Anoka, like these are very populated cities, very strong school systems. Blaine, you know, I want to say it's 60, 70-ish thousand people. So it's not that it's not populated, because it is. It's just, you know, you got to be a little closer into the Minneapolis area to still have, you know, what I'll call the amenities and the things that typically come with large cities. As you move further north, like I mentioned, it's going to get rural really quick. And then once you get out of Anoka County and further north, now you're in just nature. So, you know, that is something a lot of people in Minnesota in particular, you know, we live in the cities areas, but a lot of us have cabins in different parts of the state. And you can see when you get into northern Minnesota just how much water and blue pops up on the map here. Nisswa, Brainerd, this is Mille Lacs Lake, this is Big Sandy Lake. You got the Pelican Rapids, Detroit Lakes, there's Detroit Lake. These are the really popular places that a lot of people have places. And if that's you and you're looking at having a second house, then, you know, Anoka County, northern Hennepin County, those aren't bad places to look, you know, considering it cuts down your drive by 20, 30 minutes. So Anoka County is a great place to live. Again, it just, if you're looking for acreage, definitely I would consider it. If you want to be a little closer to the Twin Cities, then, you know, the southern portion of it's totally fine, but maybe Hennepin or Ramsey. Let's go to Washington County. We can kind of stay in the Ramsey County-ish part, so we'll call it the St. Paul suburbs. So Washington County is super interesting. You've got some wonderful major cities in Washington. You've got places like Cottage Grove, Woodbury, Oakdale, Lake Elmo to some extent. These are going to be very populated cities again, large school districts, large school systems, new construction, lots of options from a housing standpoint. As you get closer to the St. Croix River, it really starts to change a little bit. A lot of people will get houses. St. Croix River is awesome. You can have a boat slip here, and you can, if you're into river boating, you can certainly put a boat on the St. Croix and just, you know, a lot of people spend the weekends out there. There's a lot of bluffs and a lot of overlooks and a lot of, you know, really high hilltop houses throughout this entire stretch that are super, super, super cool. So if you're looking for kind of a quiet wooded lot, nature, and you want to overlook a river, this is by far the best place to be. The Mississippi flows through Minneapolis and St. Paul, and then there's the Minnesota River that has some of the same sort of views. But it's a lot harder to find houses on those rivers than it is to find something on the St. Croix. Woodbury is probably, no offense to anybody else in Washington County, but Woodbury is probably the #1 city in this county. Stillwater is a great city too. I take that back. Stillwater is going to have a much smaller vibe, like a small town vibe. The cool thing about Stillwater, when you zoom into the downtown area, so downtown Stillwater is awesome. If you're new to Minnesota, I highly encourage you to take a weekend and go to downtown Stillwater and check out, I mean, the restaurants they have, the little shops and antique shops, the things to do down there are super cool. There's a drawbridge that goes across over to Wisconsin. Not that you need to go on that, but it's a really, really cool little city. It's not that little anymore, but Stillwater is fantastic. As you move further north, you get a couple smaller towns that, you know, go further up, Arcola and a couple of the other ones. As you move further north, Scandia is great. You've got a couple. Forest Lake is a really popular city now as well. Forest Lake has Forest Lake, which again is a fantastic city. A lot of people love going up there. I was thinking Chisago and Lindstrom, but they're a different county altogether. Another really popular place for people to look at: Chisago City, Lindstrom, and the lake system up here. But Washington County, it's going to have a similar vibe to the western portion of Hennepin County. So again, a lot of new construction, a lot of established neighborhoods as well. But you have more options the further out you get here in Washington County. So moving south, there's 3 counties left. I'll probably move a little quicker on these. Let's start with Carver. Carver County has a ton of different types of houses and things to do. Lake Waconia is probably the largest lake in Carver County, and it's a really, really great lake to go to. Minnetonka, Lake Minnetonka gets nuts in the summer, like thousands of boats. So it's not uncommon for people to go to Lake Waconia instead. Chaska Town Course is an amazing public golf course. If you're into golf at all, I highly encourage you to give it a shot. The Minnesota Land, or the Arboretum, is in Carver County. The Arboretum is a really cool place to take your kids, or just go if you're into flowers and trees and nature and that sort of stuff. It's part of the University of Minnesota, and it's just really well maintained. You've got tons of trails, tons of parks. Deer Run's a great Hazelton. So Hazelton is the big private golf course in Carver County. Hazelton is where the Ryder Cup has been held. The Ryder Cup is coming to Hazelton again, 2024 maybe. This is the one. Last time the Ryder Cup was in the U.S. was at Hazelton, and that's where you saw all the drama and Patrick Reed doing the high five and all that sort of stuff. But Carver County is great. You've got Chanhassen, Chaska, Waconia. They're all really becoming popular cities, very established, super strong schools. Victoria, Carver, like they're really great places to live. When I worked back in my early days, I worked at a place called Super Value. Super Value is a big food distributor. A lot of the executives that were brought into Super Value they relocated to Carver County, specifically to these portions. Housing is going to be a little cheaper than Hennepin County, although depending on where you go, it could be, you know, as much, if not even more. Paisley Park, this is Prince's estate. That's in Carver County. When you get further south and west in Carver County, you're really out in nowhere. So again, if you're into hunting, if you're into just being out in nature, if you want land in acreage, Carver County would be a place to look, especially in the south and the western portion of Carver County. That's going to hold true also for Scott County and Dakota County, which are the next two. So Scott County is the very first ring of cities in Scott County are going to feel just like you're in Hennepin County. They're giant cities, lots of things to do. It's just essentially separated from Hennepin County by the Minnesota River. But Shakopee, Savage, Prior Lake, as you get past Prior Lake, that's really where it starts to turn into a lot more rural. You've got parts of Lakeville, Credit River Township, a couple other big cities or really popular relocation areas down in this portion of Scott County. I talk a lot about golf. I love golf, but if you're into golf at all, there are some of the best public courses in Scott County. You've got the Wilds, which I've probably played 8,000 rounds on. The Wilds is fantastic. My parents live on the Wilds, or lived on the Wilds, depending on when you're watching this. The Meadows at Mystic Lake. So Mystic Lake Casino. We have a casino in Minnesota. We have quite a few actually, but Mystic Lake is the largest, and they have a golf course as well as a casino, an amphitheater, an event center. Stonebrook Golf Course is fantastic. It's super fun to play. My favorite one is the Legends, which I don't know if that technically falls into Dakota County. Oh, it's right here. The Legends Golf Course. It's down in, we'll call it Prior Lake, Lakeville, Credit River Township. I don't know what the technical, well, it doesn't show up. The Legends is awesome. Prior Lake itself. So Prior Lake is going to have a vibe of Lake Minnetonka. It is super popular. There are going to be tons of people on the lake throughout the summer. Great houses, expensive houses. Lots of snowmobile trails connect. If you're into snowmobiling in the winter, you can go everywhere from Prior Lake. You can go down to New Prague. You can go to Cedar Lake. You can go to St. Benedict. I mean, you can go anywhere. And so tons of ice houses. They're going to be on all the lakes, but Prior Lake in particular. Spring Lake is not as popular as Prior Lake, so you can sometimes get on Spring Lake and have a little quieter of a weekend or a day. And then as you move further south, the Minnesota Horse and Hunt Club, the Minneapolis Gun Club, there's some really fun places where you can come and shoot trap, shoot skeet, which are two different shotgun challenges, or game. I don't know what the technical word is. Sport, I guess, shotgun sport. But the Minnesota Horse and Hunt Club is really fun. They also do a lot of events and weddings and that sort of stuff there as well. Cleary Lake is a really cool regional park down here. The Credit River Township area. A lot of these parks are part of what's called the Three Rivers Park System. And so you'll see like Murphy, Hanrahan Park Reserve. It's a huge park area. You can go in and there's lakes and kayaking and trails and cross-country skiing and all sorts of stuff in a lot of these areas. If you're looking at, again, lake living, lots of options. If you're looking at new construction, if that's your thing and you want new construction and be fairly close to downtown, there are so many developments that are going up in Shakopee, in Prior Lake, in Lakeville, in Credit River Township. So starting anywhere in the 400s again up to, I mean, you want to build a house for $5 million, go for it. So there's some established. When you get into, like, if you scroll into Prior Lake itself, you can see downtown Prior Lake, as well as along the lake is very, very established. You can see all the road systems here. You get 2 miles out of Prior Lake and you can see how quickly it turns into farmland again. So as you move north, this is going to be the reservation area for the Shakopee Sioux, the Mid-Wakanton Sioux. And then moving forward, this is going to be the Shakopee new construction area. Tons. This is all brand new construction, all of this. I mean, you can see M&I Homes has a marker here. M&I is a builder in this area. Savage is a very established city. Savage is going to have the older feel, like the first ring suburbs of Hennepin County. And then as we move into Dakota County, you're going to get that in Burnsville, Egan, Apple Valley, parts of Lakeville. This is all going to feel like just like Hennepin County or first ring suburb, I guess is what I keep calling it. Egan, Apple Valley, Lakeville, Farmington to some extent, Inver Grove Heights to some extent. Those are really the strong school systems down in Dakota County. Super strong sports programs, really strong sports. Well, I just said sports, education, college prep, that sort of stuff. Tons of stuff to do in this portion of the city. As you move further out past Lakeville, Farmington, again, Rosemount, this is where you're going to see a ton of new construction. Rosemount just has a brand new, I think it's a 460 home development that's going to be going up in the next couple of years. They bought a ton of acreage from the University of Minnesota. And so if, again, you're looking to relocate or you're looking to build in the Twin Cities somewhere, these are really great places. Tons of new retail options are opening up all over here. You've got lots of Targets and Hy-Vees and grocery stores and restaurants and tons of things to do. Lakeville is one of the largest cities in the state. Apple Valley's, I mean, it's a great area to be and to raise kids. I have tons of friends that grew up in Dakota County. Buck Hill is probably the largest ski hill that we have in the certainly in the Twin Cities. Minnesota in general, Buck Hill is probably the best place to ski if you're in the cities. You could go up north to Lutsen or past Duluth, and there's a couple other options. But Buck Hill is right here. You've got tons of hospital and healthcare systems throughout. Minnesota is known for healthcare, but you'll see that pop up on the maps here. This is Fairview has a big clinic here. And if you're into biking, trails, running, nature, whatever, Lebanon Hills is probably the best place to go if you want to go mountain biking or just nature exploring in general. Lebanon Hills is, people come from literally all over the state to go to Lebanon Hills. The Minnesota Zoo is down here, the Minnesota Zoo and the Como Zoo, which I skipped over in Ramsey County. Those are the two major zoos in the state. Minnesota Zoo is awesome. You do have to pay at the Minnesota Zoo. I believe Como is free. And then as you get way down towards the Vermilion area, there's more nature, and then you just get into absolute rural small towns. You can get over towards the St. Croix River again and get that river life that I mentioned earlier. Just trying to see if anything else really stands out. That's kind of the gist of it. So if you look at Minneapolis and St. Paul and you sort of draw a circle about 15-20 miles around, it's going to have a pretty similar vibe within that circle. When you get out of it, that's where it's going to be nuanced county by county and depending on what you're looking for. I will say the majority of cabins, not to go back to that, but it is a very popular thing here. Trust me, if you live here for a few years, you're going to be thinking, oh, what's this cabin deal? Majority of the cabins are going to be in northern Minnesota, over in east or western or northern Wisconsin. So depending on which vibe you're looking for, and if you do go that route, it really does play a factor in where you want to consider living. As you move into southern Minnesota, it's more plains and prairie. You can just see with the map. I mean, there's still obviously lakes, but nothing like when you look at the map of northern Minnesota. So something to think about. Everything's fairly close to the airport, so travel and that sort of stuff is pretty simple from any of these counties. A lot of people I know in the sales industry are over, Norwood, Young America, Waconia, Victoria, and it's not an issue at all to get to the airport. We have public rail system that goes all over the Twin Cities now. Buses run in all of these cities. I mean, public transportation is super easy no matter where you are. It really just comes down to, honestly, it's the vibe of the city and the type of the house that you're looking for. Once we start looking at a few of them and we get a feel for what do you want and what's the style of house, then we kind of figure out the cities. Certainly if you've got kids, school is going to be a big decision that you need to think about. So we'll definitely want to understand the different school districts, programs that your kids are in. Are they offered in certain school districts or not? So it does get a little nuanced after that, but I would say let's start with budget. Let's start with the type of house that you want and the type of neighborhood you want. And then we can start to hone in on the cities, well, the county, the cities, the neighborhoods themselves. So I will have deep dives into nearly every city in the Twin Cities on this channel. I do map tours like this where I walk through it just from a map level, as well as video tours so you can get a feel for the city and what it's like to live there. But the best way is to just give me a call, drop me a text, shoot me an email and say, hey, I'm interested. Let's talk. Let's go tour some places. Help me understand, what to look for and where to go. So I hope this helped. We live and breathe real estate, and specifically the Twin Cities. Can't wait to help you guys and hopefully have a conversation further on what you're looking for and where we come into play. Until next time, take care, and we'll see you around.